Eisenberg will join us to discuss the film. I'm Allison Stewart. Join us for all of it, weekdays at noon on WNYC.
It's 6:51. Marketplace Morning Report is next, and later on Morning Edition, landlords and would-be renters seeking Section 8 housing can often find themselves at odds, but both sides can agree on one mundane but maddening point. They'll tell you what it is, and it's going to sound familiar. That story, plus all the latest news from NPR and the WNYC Newsroom. It's a cold start to this Thursday, January 16th, 25 and clear right now. A slim chance of late afternoon snow showers today. We'll see more clouds, a high right at the freezing mark today, but feeling as chilly, as cold as 20 degrees. And then tomorrow sunny and up near 40, but again feeling as cold as 20. And then on Saturday, 50-50 chance of early afternoon rain, mostly cloudy and 45. And Sunday, slim chance of early afternoon rain and snow.
When you just can't make it through the day without your TikTok.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Progressive Insurance. Customers can simplify their insurance needs and protect what's important by bundling home and auto. Learn more about bundling at Progressive.com.
I'm David Brancaccio. TikTok is set for a U.S. cutoff on Sunday. That's if the Supreme Court upholds a federal law directing the hugely popular China-based platform to sell its U.S. operations to a U.S. owner. TikTok has 170 million U.S. users. But both Republicans and Democrats worry Chinese officials could use TikTok to funnel propaganda and misinformation to Americans and use the personal data of Americans against them. President-elect Trump may try an executive order to postpone the ban, but experts say his powers in this area may be limited. TikTok CEO Shou Chew plans to be at the Trump inauguration on Monday. Now, some users are testing TikTok alternatives. Marketplace's Mitchell Hartman has that.
With the long-fought-over TikTok ban finally appearing imminent, Damian Rollison at AI marketing firm Sochi says,
we've seen over the last few days, people are trying out or at least downloading some alternative apps from China, such as RedNote.
RedNote's been the top free download at the Apple App Store recently. It's owned by a different Chinese company than TikTok and also features short videos.
I would consider that to be more of a protest vote against TikTok being banned, similar to the flight to Mastodon or Blue Sky when people didn't want to use X anymore.
All this app churning might not last, says Jeremy Goldman at eMarketer.
Often, big influxes of users check out a new social media app and don't necessarily stick around.
Damian Rollison says some users will likely shift to U.S.-based competitors like Instagram, Snapchat, and YouTube, but
there is no other app that really fills the need that TikTok has supplied. The recommendation algorithm is big because it continues to feed you content, and TikTok has done a good job of figuring out what people will find interesting.
China protects its social media algorithms as crucial to the national interest. Meaning, says Mark Ostrow at Silicon Valley law firm Fenwick & West, the spread of apps like RedNote in the U.S. could
raise the same concerns that TikTok and ByteDance have because they are Chinese controlled.
Keep in mind, the law that allows TikTok to be banned,
it actually applies to any Chinese or, for that matter, Russian or North Korean or Iranian social media site.
The government can target any site that's at least 20% owned by an individual or company in one of those adversary countries, has over 1 million active monthly users, and whose tech and operations U.S. officials determine pose a threat to national security.
Anything China does in the technology space is a potential concern. So is it safe to move to another Chinese social media app? Well, maybe for a short period of time.
But Ostrow wouldn't recommend investing much time or money in a Chinese-owned TikTok alternative for the long term. I'm Mitchell Hartman for Marketplace.
Also, the language learning app Duolingo is reporting the number of Americans signing up to learn Mandarin Chinese has more than doubled recently, a surge attributed to people wanting to better interact with RedNote, that rival to TikTok where Mandarin is the default. With news of a ceasefire deal that could end the Israel-Hamas war, an update now on money needed to rebuild and who will provide the funding. The BBC's Mariko Oy has more.
It's quite difficult to have an exact, accurate figure of how much damage has been done. But according to one preliminary assessment by the World Bank, the UN and the European Union, for example, as of October last year, the war has caused nearly $18.5 billion in infrastructure damage. Figures again vary, but some say that it would cost some $40 billion to rebuild homes and schools and hospitals and so on and so on. I guess the big question is, who is going to pay for it? Obviously not Israel, probably not America. The EU, which has supported them in the past, they are in a much more difficult financial situation, as is the UK. Would China, Saudi, anyone else step in? It's a huge amount of money and obviously a very political sensitive situation. So no one is talking about it yet, but it's the question that many people will have to answer.
Mariko Oy is a business reporter with the BBC. Markets, Dow futures are down 0.3%, but S&P futures are up 0.2%.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Schwab. Schwab offers investors choices like full-service wealth management, self-directed investing options, and trading on Thinkorswim. More at schwab.com.
The legislature in the second largest state by population is kicking off a new session with a lot of love for private schools. After a number of Texas Republicans lost in the primaries to school voucher-friendly rivals, new legislation is expected allowing more taxpayer money to be funneled to private and religious schools. At least a dozen states have universal voucher programs, and many more offer limited programs, according to the independent think tank called Future Ed. Marketplace's Elizabeth Troval reports from Houston.
If the goal of vouchers is to improve access to education, Rice University's Chris Kulasha says a targeted voucher program for low-income or special needs students could be beneficial.
Educational costs can be much higher for a child that has special needs, and local school districts oftentimes are grappling with how to be able to best provide support for those children.
That said, his research found a universal voucher program, like the one touted by Texas Governor Greg Abbott, could lead to burdensome costs, like in Arizona, where
the budget spiraled out of control.
And Josh Cowan with Michigan State University says that while older studies have shown benefits to funding private education, newer research shows the opposite. In states like Louisiana and Indiana, students using vouchers performed worse academically.
If evidence meant anything in education, we just know this stuff doesn't work.
And he says often the kids who take advantage of these voucher programs are students who are already enrolled in private school to begin with. I'm Elizabeth Troval for Marketplace.
We're also reporting from Los Angeles today on upward pressure on the price of rental accommodations, with so many homes destroyed and so many neighborhoods still under evacuation. The Marketplace Morning podcast will also have that later this morning. I'm David Brancaccio. This is the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.